Okay, can everybody see my screen? Yes, okay. Hello. So just to get us started with a pun, what do you call a wet bear? Answer is a drizzly bear. Alrighty. A little bit about us. We're from the Water Planning and Stewardship team. We manage water on campus, including drinking water, stormwater, wastewater, as well as watershed stewardship and water efficiency. Today, we'll be focusing on the efficiency aspect. We'll be talking about where our water comes from, as well as what it's used for. Then we'll give some updates on the drought, and then we'll cover the various resources and rebates available to residents to help you save water. Right. So starting with water use on campus. As you may know, Stanford has two different water supplies on campus. We have our domestic water system and our lake water system. Domestic water provides high quality treated water for drinking and other indoor and recreational uses. That includes for faculty staff housing, student dorms, academic buildings, and cooling in the central energy facility. The non-potable lake water system is used for irrigation of athletics fields and campus landscaping. Our water conservation program started in 2001, and we focused our conservation efforts on the domestic water system, which is the higher quality and more expensive water supply. Domestic water use has fallen by almost half during the past two decades, even as campus facilities grew. So here's a map of our lake water system. Stanford campus is shown in red here. In the winter, we divert water from San Francisco Creek and store it in felt reservoirs, so it can be used in the summer to irrigate the campus. We also have groundwater wells and stormwater capture. Here is our domestic water system. You can see it comes from much farther away. It's imported via the Hetch Hetchy system from the Upper Tuolumne River watershed, as well as some local watersheds here in the Bay Area. Here's another diagram of that system. You can see most of our water comes from Yosemite National Park. So it's actually a very high quality and precious source of water that's worth conserving. What is campus doing to conserve? We have many different campus groups, and they're all working diligently to save water. We've been implementing the WaterSmart portal, which we'll be talking about later today, to help detect leaks on campus. The ground services team has been reducing campus irrigation in response to the drought. We've also been capturing stormwater to supplement the lake water irrigation system, and many more projects. You can find out more about these at our website at this link, and we'll also send out a resource handout after this presentation, so you can have access to all these links that we'll be talking about. Next up, we're going to talk a bit about the drought and our water supplies during this time. So just as a reminder of our climate, we live in a dry Mediterranean climate. San Jose only gets 15 inches of rain per year, most of which falls in the winter. And so to get through our bone dry summers, we rely on reservoirs, groundwater aquifers, and the Sierra snowpack. With the climate heating up, the Sierra snowpack is melting faster, and conservation is going to be even more important. Now we have a Zoom poll for you all. Can you guess which US state has the most variability in precipitation from year to year? So feel free to answer with our interactive poll here.
See, we've got some responses coming in. I'll give it a few more seconds here before I close. Or, yeah. Alrighty. Great. Thanks, Erica. So it looks like most people answered California. And that is indeed the answer. Much of our rain comes from unpredictable atmospheric rivers, which will dump rain on us in some years, but leave us hanging dry in others, like the past 2 years. So here's a map of our current drought conditions from the US Drought Monitor. As of early September, almost 40% of the US was in a state of drought. If we zoom in and just focus on California, you can see that the entire state is at least in a moderately dry condition, and almost half of the state is in exceptional drought, the highest stage. At this stage, fire season is lasting year-round. We have pine beetle infestations, wetlands drying up, algal blooms, and our reservoirs are at extremely low levels. On an even more local level, Santa Clara County has declared a water shortage emergency condition. Because of this, Stanford has been asked, and all water suppliers have been asked to reduce water use by 15% compared to 2019. So our question to you is your home drought ready? So I don't see any questions or comments in the chat box at this time, but as a reminder, you can put your questions in the chat at any time. We'll address them in a Q&A session at the end. So now I'll pass it on to Erica to discuss water saving measures you can take at home and resources that are available to you. On to you,
Great.
Erica.
Thanks, Stanley. Yes, thanks, Stanley, for getting us started, and thank you for quickly being able to take over when my internet, with poor timing, decided to stop working. All right, let's go ahead and keep going. So although there are many places and ways that you can save water in your home, today we're going to focus on some of the actions that have applicable rebates and new resources that are available. Like we mentioned, Stanford's goal is to reduce overall campus use by about 15% below the 2019 levels. And for SCRL, this would be equivalent to reducing water back to 2015 levels. So there are many paths to achieving those 15% savings. One way is for SCRL homes to reduce their average indoor use by about 8% and their outdoor use by about 20%. Although outdoor actions typically have greater water savings, we'll start by covering actions that you could take indoors. So when saving water indoors, think about best practices such as taking shorter showers, only running full loads of laundry, and only running your dishwasher when it's full. Keep an eye out for leaks and have them repaired quickly. And then the Valley Water District also has a free indoor survey where you could receive free aerators, leak detection tablets, shower timers, shower heads. And if you were to install some of these best practices and some of these free pieces of hardware, you could save an estimated 10% on your indoor water use. To order a DIY indoor survey kit, just go to cloud.valleywater.org/shopping cart, and you could order the pieces of equipment that you wish to receive. Don't worry about taking down these hyperlinks. We'll provide them, as Stanley mentioned, in a handout following the presentation. So now that we've talked about some indoor actions, let's head outdoors. About half of residential use is outdoors, so saving water outdoors can have a great impact on your overall water use. Fortunately, there are also rebates available for many outdoor projects through Valley Water. One of the easiest ways to save is to switch out your old clock irrigation controller to a weather-based controller. A weather-based irrigation controller, also sometimes called a smart controller or an ET controller, automatically adjusts the watering schedule based on local weather conditions. So unlike standard controllers that require a person to make manual changes to the irrigation schedule throughout the year, water-based irrigation controllers use local evapotranspiration, also known as ET, data to determine irrigation requirements in the watering schedule. As ET values change in response to temperatures, wind, humidity, and sunlight, the plant's needs for water also change. So as the ET value increases and plants require more water, the controller uses that information to add more time to the schedule. Smart controllers also use site factors such as the microclimate, plant type, soil type, slope, and the method of irrigation to inform the watering schedule. We could go to the next slide. There are also rebates available for updating irrigation equipment. So if you're thinking about upgrading your irrigation, remember that Stanford single-family residents with qualifying inefficient equipment hardware can receive rebates for the installation of high-efficiency irrigation equipment. This table describes the qualifying hardware and the rebate amounts available. So if you were to upgrade your sprinkler heads to high-efficiency heads or sprinkler heads that contain pressure regulation, not only could they save you a lot of water, but you could also receive some money back on your project. And if you decide to upgrade to a weather-based controller, it will need an accompanying rain sensor, and both of these technologies have rebates available. Residential sites can be rebated up to $3,000. And if you're currently not in the market to change out any of your hardware, some best management practices that will save water without changing out equipment include watering your landscaping between 2 and 6 a.m. when there's less evaporation and wind. And check that you're not overwatering your lawn. So one of the easy ways to test is if you take a step on your lawn, if the grass springs back up, it has enough water. Another great tip is to check for runoff and to use cycle and soak if needed. So basically what this does is it takes one irrigation cycle and it splits it up into 2. So rather than watering your lawn, let's say for 15 minutes and some of the water starts to run off, you would water it for, let's say 6 minutes, let that water infiltrate into the ground, and then maybe an hour or 2 later, run it for another 6 to 7 minutes, and then that water will also infiltrate without running off. And then another best management practice is also to check for overspray and reposition your sprinkler heads as needed. Right. You can go to the next slide. Another great way to save water outdoors is to change out high water use landscapes, such as lawns and pools, to low water use landscape. So many homeowners are replacing their front lawns with native and drought tolerant plants and keeping a smaller lawn in their backyard for playing or for picnicking. Residents are encouraged to convert approved higher water use landscapes, such as lawns and pools, to low water use landscapes. And more than 2/3 of the participants that did a rebate with Valley Water noticed a decrease in their water bill after transforming their yards. Currently, Valley Water is offering $2 per square foot as a rebate as a rebate incentive for this project. To also help to encourage landscape conversions, the Valley Water District also has a lot of great resources on their website to inspire what your landscaping could be. So as you're considering your design, remember to group plants by their water needs so you aren't overwatering your drought tolerant plants. And also remember to use mulch, which not only suppresses weeds, but it also reduces evaporation. So the Valley Water District partnered with South Bay Green Gardens to create sustainable design concepts for yards based on different parameters, like the type of garden you want, or maybe the amount of sun that the landscaping receives. So these designs are simple concepts, and they're hopefully able to provide some inspiration and ideas. So for more information about which plant would be best for your site, please visit their website at southbaygreengardens.org. And there's a lot of really good renderings and good ideas to hopefully get you started. And then just a reminder that every drop counts. So consider capturing rainwater with a rain barrel, a cistern, or a rain garden on your property. This not only provides free water, but also reduces erosion and pollution of our creeks. So you can receive up to $35 per rain barrel that you install between 40 and 199 gallons. Or you can install a larger cistern of a minimum of 200 gallons and receive up to 50 cents per gallon. So if you decide that a value water rebate would be helpful for your project, please remember that all projects that have been started or projects that have already been completed prior to the application process are not eligible. So to start a rebate application, first you need to go to the online application portal and create a user account. So customers who do not have the ability to submit an online application for any reason should call Valley Water directly for assistance. The second step is to apply for a rebate, providing the information about existing site conditions using the online application. So this would be the spot where you would include photos, the estimated size of your project, or the equipment that you're planning to upgrade. And the customers will be contacted directly by Valley Water to schedule an on-site pre-inspection as needed after submitting their existing site conditions. And then the third step is after the pre-inspection is approved, customers can submit their proposed project details online. So this would be the spot where you would include your plant list of what you were planning to install your low water use plants, or the model of your ET controller that you're planning to install. So any of the qualifying hardware, this is where you would input what you wish to do on your property. And then the fourth step is once the application is approved, the customers will be issued an official notice to proceed. This is super important, so wait for the official notice to proceed before you purchase any of your materials, and make sure you have that written notice. That's really important in order to receive your funding at the end of the rebate project. And then once you receive your notice to proceed, you have about 90 days to complete your project. And then fifth, with the project completion, the customers will request one last final post-inspection and provide any documentation as requested, such as photos, just to show that things are installed. And then the rebate check would be issued 4 to 6 weeks after the post-inspection date is approved. So these steps are super crucial to ensure that the rebate process for your projects goes smoothly and that your project remains qualified for a rebate through Valley Water. And then the last Valley Water program we want to let you know about is the free irrigation survey. So this is a free program where a trained irrigation professional will evaluate your irrigation system. However, please be aware that they don't actually carry leak detection tools with them. So they're not going to be able to find a leak if it's underground. But if your home does have a leak, they can help you narrow down whether a leak is occurring indoors or outdoors. And they can also help you identify and prioritize improvements that might be eligible for rebates through their through the Valley Water Landscape Program. We'll provide their contact information in the handout, so you could have their phone number and either call them or visit their website directly to schedule an appointment. And then moving on from Valley Water Rebates, starting this year, Stanford is partnering with Bosca to offer discounted Rachio 3 smart sprinkler controllers for just $100 plus tax. And then in addition to that, the first 20 participants that use this program will also receive a free rain sensor from Stanford. So the Rachio controller is a weather-based irrigation controller that creates tailored smart irrigation schedules based on the specific needs of your lawn. And it could find the right amount of water for your plants and their specific needs to keep them healthy. Estimates show that installing a weather-based irrigation controller can save approximately 20% on your outdoor water use. So in order to participate, you would just go to bosca.rachio.com to redeem the offer. And you would just need an underground automatic irrigation system, a smartphone, and a strong Wi-Fi connection. And then on average, Californians use about 196 gallons of water per day. So an essential first step to conserve water in your home is to understand where you use water. So the newest tool we have to help homeowners save water is called WaterSmart. The WaterSmart customer portal lets Stanford residents see the hourly water use of their home. It also sends leak alerts when it detects continuous use, allowing users to quickly resolve leaks and prevent water waste and high bills. So if you aren't already registered, an invitation link to register to your account was sent just this morning to the same email address that your water invoices are sent to. So if you're having any trouble logging in, please email us so we can help get you registered. So now let's go ahead and open the portal to show you some of its functionality. Right, I think I'm gonna have to start sharing now, Stanley. All right, can we all see?
Yes, looks great.
Perfect. All right, so let's go ahead and go back. All right, so this is going to be the home screen when your account is registered. This home screen will also allow you to navigate to the different resources. So although this portal is relatively customer friendly, we wanted to highlight some of the features to help ensure that you get the best user experience from the platform. And please note that this view is going to look slightly different than what you'll experience because to protect customers' privacies, we're using just a site on campus for demonstration purposes. So if you go up to track at the top of the page, it's going to open you to a view that defaults to your daily water use. And then if you double click on one of the bars, that's going to open it up to your hourly water use. To see more hours, you could use the bottom scroll bar to extend the time period that you wish to look at, or you could also use the calendar toggle at the top up here to either zoom in or out, depending on what you're trying to find. And although WaterSmart is not a platform to pay your water bill, we do have monthly water use in the platform. So if you click on Overview, this is going to open it up to your monthly water use. We uploaded about 5 years worth of historic data in there. So if you lived in your home for a while now, you should have an idea of how your water use has been trending over the past few years. And then if you scroll down, this next graph here is a comparison of the last 24 months. So it does a comparison of August 2021 to August 2020. And it just gives a nice quick glimpse of how your home's water use is either increasing or hopefully decreasing over time. And then, as we mentioned, WaterSmart also sends leak alerts when it notices unusual water use. So by default, WaterSmart will send you a leak alert for 2 different types of leaks. One is a continuous leak, which is when more than 10 gallons of water is used every hour for 72 hours. And then there's also a burst leak, which is when more than 74 gallons is used for 8 consecutive hours. So please be aware that if WaterSmart sends you a leak alert, it could just be a long irrigation cycle. And then to know if your home has a leak, you just go up to the leak tab and it will display all of the leaks that it picked up on your account. And if you realize that it actually is an irrigation cycle and not a true burst leak, you could just change the status to say it's not a leak and then select the cause. So if you're doing something maybe perhaps unusual and WaterSmart sends you a leak notification, you could change these settings and hopefully it'll help WaterSmart learn your water use patterns. And then water conservation is always more fun when you could get your family involved. So if you go to settings and then account settings, and then if you scroll down, you could add an additional user to your page. You just fill out the needed information, and then they will also be able to see your home's water use. I just also want to make a note that any additional users will not receive the leak alerts. So whoever the account is registered to will be the primary person that still receives those leak alerts and notifications. In the settings tab, this is also where you would be able to modify your communication preferences. So if you go to high use notifications, in addition to the automatic leak alerts, you can also set your account to notify you when your water use is higher than usual or when your forecasted water use is trending higher than usual. So you would just select the multiplier that you're interested in and then just select the method in which you would prefer to be notified. And then I think that I could just go ahead and continue sharing my screen with the presentation going forward, if that works with you, Stanley.
Sounds good, yeah.
All right. So on the topic of leaks, how much water will one drip per second waste in 1 year? So we have a Zoom question here. Looks like about a quarter of you have responded, so we'll wait just a few more seconds. All right, I think we could go ahead and share the results here. So a leak at that flow rate, I didn't go to the slide. A leak at that flow rate can waste around 2,000 to 3,000 gallons per year. So the average household leak can account for nearly 10,000 gallons of water wasted every year, and about 10% of home leaks are more than 90 gallons per day. So we're hoping with the help of WaterSmart, customers will be able to be quickly notified if they have a leak and have it rapidly repaired. So what do you do if you find a leak? Homeowners should know where their water shutoff valve is. So if they do have a large leak in a pinch, they could turn off their water before the plumber arrives. Typically, the valve is located within 3 to 5 feet of where the water main enters the home. And if you want more resources, the EPA WaterSense website also has a lot of great tips for fixing leaks. So with all that information, let's quickly recap the top water saving actions you can do in your home to achieve a 15% savings. So Upgrading to a weather-based irrigation controller is a great way to save water that's used outdoors. Rather than watering your decorative turf, focus the water use on your trees. The last drought was harsh on many trees, and by selectively watering your landscaping and focusing on deep watering your trees, you can save water while also keeping your precious tree canopy healthy. Use WaterSmart to help identify leaks and have them repaired quickly. Fixing leaks is always a best practice to save water. And then another way to save water without changing equipment is to be sure to water early in the morning and in the evening when it's cooler. And remember to always turn off your irrigation when it's raining or if it has recently rained. And then another great water saving tip is to never use a hose without the hose nozzle attached. And in that Valley Water shopping cart, you could actually get a free garden hose nozzle just by ordering online, and they'll send it to your home for free. And rather than washing your car at home, consider taking it to a commercial car wash that recycles water. It's not only a great way to save water at your house, but it's also a great way to help protect our watershed. So with that, we have one last Zoom poll as we're wrapping up our presentation. We want to know how we can better help support SCRL. So if you're comfortable, please go ahead and answer the Zoom poll. About a quarter of you have responded so far, so a few more seconds. Great, so I'm going to go ahead and end the poll there. Here are the results. It looks like the needs are pretty split, actually. So we'll keep this for our records and use this as inspiration on how we could support you in the future, especially as the drought conditions are not ideal. Okay. So here are some additional resources that we also have linked in the handout, so we will share that following this presentation. But for now, we're going to go ahead and open up for questions and comments.
So we have a question from June. June asks, what is the relationship between Stanford and Valley Water? And June was thinking that Stanford gets our water from Hetch Hetchy. So wanted some clarification on Valley Water's role.
Yeah, so that is a really great question, June. So Stanford receives its domestic water from Hetch Hetchy, which is the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission source. So we buy all of our domestic water from the SFPUC, but all of our groundwater falls within the Santa Clara Valley greater watershed. So in a sense, they're our governing body for our groundwater, and hence our 15% reduction to 2019 levels being asked by them. Whereas right now, the SFPUC just has a voluntary reduction ask.
Awesome. And then another question. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
June wishes that Stanford would include water use going back to 2019 by month, so that on the water bills, so that they can see if they're meeting the goal, the 15%.
Unfortunately, on the invoices, there are some limitations on the bar graphs and how much data could be included. However, with WaterSmart being a tool that's now available to SCRL, you could log in there and view your home's water use. There are some other graphs that I didn't cover in this presentation, but they also show how your home's water use is trending on an annual scale. So if you log in and it's the last graph under track, you could see what your home's forecasted water use will be, and hopefully that will give you a good indicator on how much water you're hopefully saving compared to last year. And then if you go into the monthly view, you could go back to 2019 and just see how your water use has been trending over time.
Great. And then another question about trees in the green belt. A resident noticed that many of our trees in the green belt are suffering from drought and is wondering what Stanford is doing to help the redwoods in the green belt there.
That's a great question. We will pass that along to the grounds group and have them address it. Grounds has been very actively reducing their water use, and they've turned back all of their weather-based controllers to an artificial 15% ET reduction. So that could be part of it, but we'll pass that comment along to them so they could address it more specifically.
And then Carrie asks, will there be a training for building managers of academic or office buildings, student residences, and food services buildings?
That's a great question. We haven't checked in specifically with building managers, but we have been setting up some drought check-ins with some of the larger groups like School of Medicine and R&DE. But yeah, we should drill down and touch base with some of those some of the schools as well, and cover WaterSmart and just some of the tools that are specifically available to our campus non-single family customers as well.
Awesome. So I have another question that came in. Is it possible to get a private assessment of one's land and water use at their home by payment if necessary? Private assessment.
That's a great question. I'm sure that there are companies that will do that for you. I would have to do a little bit of research to find them. I don't know any specifically off the top of my head. I would encourage a first step to be Valley Water's free landscape survey. That's a great starting place. And then using WaterSmart as a comparison tool. So if you register your account, there is a comparison section that displays your home's water use against other Stanford single-family customers with similar sized lots and like family size parameters. So I would encourage you to go in there and also just see how your water use is comparing against other customers in your same demographic.
Awesome. I don't have any other questions in my chat. Do you have anything else, Erica, in yours? Keep the questions coming.
Yeah, I think that all the ones that you read for us were the same ones that came into my box. But yeah, if there are any additional questions that have come to participants' minds, please go ahead and unmute and ask, or go ahead and drop them in the chat bar I just saw another one come through, and it said, who should we call when we see unwise water use on campus? Midday spray sprinkling in the cactus garden. For those, I would suggest calling them into the campus hotline number. It's 32281, and then they would direct your call into the appropriate group. My guess is if you did see some spray sprinkling at the cactus garden, they might have been doing some sprinkler maintenance at the time, but it's always good to just to call it in and have it recorded if in case it isn't, and then somebody could have it addressed. We should also provide that campus hotline number in the handout sheet. Thank you, Julia. If there are no more questions, I just want to thank everybody for joining us today. And if you have an additional question that didn't come to you now, please feel free to reach out either to our email or visit our website. And we just thank you for your attention and your continued partnership in saving water.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you. It was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Could we have those numbers back? It went too quickly.
Oh, yes.
The numbers contact disappeared from the screen. Could we have them back, please?
Yes, I'm trying to bring them up now. There you go.
Thank you.
Did you say that in order to have a professional audit, do we have to write to watersavings.org? Do we email watersavings.org?
That watersavings.org will take you to Valley Water's website, but there is and from there you would be able to find where the landscape surveys are, but in our handout we'll provide the specific link and also their phone number if you would prefer to call them instead to set up an inspection.
And how do I get the phone number?
We could send it to you following this presentation.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So this
They will do an audit for us and see what's wrong.
Yeah, it's a great resource and a really great place to start.
Okay, thank you.
So is this handout something that will be mailed to us, something online, or what? How are we going to get the handout?
It'll be emailed you to the same email address that you used to sign up for this webinar.
Perfect. Thank you.
Welcome.
Great. Then I'll just go ahead and end the meeting then. Erica.
All right,
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you very
Take
much.
care.
Bye-bye.
Yeah,
Thank
take
you.
care.
Thank you.
Thanks.